Doug, first of all, this is a big signing today as the Bears get a pretty big coup in the toughness department, signing Brandon Sugden today.
Yeah, this one we've been looking throughout the summer and came aware to us about 10 days ago that Brandon Sugden has yet to sign. So we started negotiating. We think obviously it adds toughness to our lineup. It adds a lot of experience to our lineup. He's been around and he understands what his role is.
It's been a subject maybe all summer in the Bears reloading for that title defense, depth. And for the Bears at this point, up front and on defense, a lot of good players being signed and a lot of guys' depth that could trickle up or trickle down, I suppose, depending on how things shake down in camp.
Yeah, I think that's been a key to our success, and depending on the movement with the caps, who makes the caps or doesn't make the caps, we're about 19 forwards, 11 D, and 3 goaltenders. So our depth is outstanding at this time of year, and we hope it pays off for us in the year.
Another guy signed today. Tell us a little bit about Dylan Yeo, defenseman who was an East Coast League All-Star last season with Victoria, and again, on that subject of depth, only helps on the blue line.
We actually tried to trade for Dylan last year. He was an ECHL All-Star. He played in Western Juniors and was an outstanding junior defenseman, offensive-minded defenseman with a good skill level, and adds a lot of depth in our D.
Feel pretty good about the way the roster is here a few weeks before training camp?
I feel outstanding. It's something that we wanted to work on throughout the summer. The key, winning the cup is great, but the key is doing it again, and that's what we're set to do.
Mark, first of all, the signing of Brandon Sugden today, the Bears certainly improved their toughness on the right side, and just in general, I suppose.
No, I think that was probably one of the only elements that was left at. Team looks certainly like we have a lot of depth in all positions. As we've talked about through the summer, I think the division will be a tough one. So adding Brandon to the mix certainly allows us to compete in that area.
You think about Wilkes-Barre. I mean, Derek Englund, certainly know what he's about from his days here. Very tough, can throw him with anybody. John Morasti in Syracuse, Brandon's former team, obviously one of the toughest guys in the league. So having Brandon, this is a big addition today.
Yeah, it is. He'll create room for our skilled players, as those types of players always bring that element. And just having him around and the experience that he's gotten in this league and in a number of different situations, I think adds to our leadership group as well.
The other signing today, the Bears signing defenseman Dylan Yeo, who split time last year between Manitoba. He had 14 games there. Victoria, he was an ECHL All-Star. And again, it just speaks to the depth of this team. Going into camp here in a few weeks, there's a lot of guys and some pretty tough decisions, I would think, for the coaching staff.
Yeah, no, Dylan's a very good player. Having talked to a number of the coaches in the ECHL, especially who coached out west against him, you couldn't come up with a negative word about him. He's a very offensive defenseman. His last year in Calgary, I think he served as a team captain, so from a character standpoint, he's solid in that respect. So very excited to get Dylan here and to see exactly what he brings to the table and whether he's able to make the jump to the American League.
You excited to be heading to Washington here in a few weeks?
Yeah, it should be a very interesting camp. I think for a number of our players, it will be a make or break year in terms of whether they can really crack Washington's group. And for us, it's always interesting to see how that works out because that will dictate a lot of what we have down here.
I guess one of the good things about that is if there is a surprise, if somebody plays their way into a spot in the NHL roster, there are a lot of guys in the organization, and again, just the whole depth thing, it keeps coming back to that. Even if there's somebody that jumps up and takes a spot, there's somebody else that might be in Chocolatetown.
Yeah, I think there's a number of guys who are ready to step up into bigger roles. Last year, obviously we had very good top line and top set of D. There's some guys like a guy like Matthew Perreault who, given more minutes and given more opportunity, probably could be in the top 5 in the league in American League scoring. So depth won't be a problem. We'll be able to cushion almost any blow that might happen of guys who are successful making Washington's team out of training camp. So it's a very nice problem to have.
Getting comfortable here in the head coach's office?
Yeah, no, it's nice. We got all moved over now. And I just, again, can't wait for the season to